Welcome, everybody. You're at Conversations with Quadre. We're thrilled to be having a little conversation here with Ben Shirley and Nina Shekhar and looking at each one of their works. So I'd like to welcome Ben. If you can give a wave, Ben, over there. And I'd like to welcome Nina. And we're going to start delving into their works and their artistic process for Quadre's program that's coming up in June.
Thank you, Daniel. It's so nice to meet all of you, and I actually feel like I recognize some names here. So this is really wonderful, and I am really grateful to Daniel for giving us the opportunity to speak with all of you today. And this project that Quadra started with us has turned into something really meaningful, and Ben and I really got to collaborate in this really vulnerable, holistic way, which is something new for both of us, I think, and we're really excited to share this with all of you. So I figure that we might talk just a little bit about some influences that kind of made their way into this project, even in our previous work. And so maybe Ben, you can start. Ben has a really wonderful work that he would like to share, and just talking about his experience, and then I'll share some things from my previous work about my experience, and then we'll talk about how that relates to our project. So Ben, if you want to go ahead.
Thank you, Nina. Hello, everyone. Nina, thank you for leading and steering the ship here because thank you. Daniel, thank you for having us. And to get started with I find that just to address it all, I'm a guy who's in recovery. I'm a formerly homeless guy, drug addict, alcoholic, and I'm saying that because I'm an open book, right? And this is how I have to view writing my music today. It has to be a place of storytelling, and it has to tell the truth to the best of my ability and to be as authentic as the best of my ability. And the piece that is going to be, it's a snippet of 52-second video of a piece that I wrote for photographer Lee Jeffries. And photographer Lee Jeffries I met through the Skid Row Running Club, and a website. When I was homeless, I was in Skid Row, downtown Los Angeles, part of a running club down there, and it's named the Skid Row Running Club. He came on the website. He's a runner. We've connected through that website, and his photography is has a lot to do with capturing it's no easy way to put it, the homeless population in an authentic, meaningful way, to where it's not just a drive-by, snap your picture, and let's capture somebody who's suffering. And his storytelling and his photography is beautiful. And the way I address this piece out of his book that you're going to see, the photo is of an elderly couple, but for me to be vulnerable and tell the truth, I have to open up and try to write something to where, in my past life, I played a different kind of music where I had to portray an image and be a tough guy and do all this stuff. And I couldn't let you see me show the soft side of me, because what would you think? And, I had to portray this thing to people who I thought were my friends and that I couldn't connect with on any level whatsoever. And I'll get in more into that as we go along. And maybe some of you will identify. Hopefully you will. And it's okay. So this piece is for an elderly English couple, and after the piece is played, I can briefly read what it's about and see if I captured this, and see if you guys think I captured this as well. So
I'm going to play the Marjorie and Jim video MP4, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay.
It just short snippet out of the piece. Am I still on here? Yes, I am. Well, this piece is about an English couple who met. They married in the 1940s. They're obviously from England, since they're an English couple, and they stayed married 70 years. And Lee captured this photo shortly before Marjorie passed, and then Jim passed, shortly thereafter. And I tried to, when I saw this photo, I couldn't imagine in my whole life uh, having any kind of relationship whatsoever. Being, I didn't have any relationships, but seeing the love and that look in their face as they're looking at each other, I heard the viola piece. I heard the viola thing in my head, and how can I just capture this to the best of my ability? And I wasn't, and obviously I didn't hear busy music. I didn't hear any grand gestures. I heard a little bit of sadness due to the passing. To me, it looks like he knows what's going to happen, his wife to pass. And also I wanted to express how can I capture love? And that's what I thought. I thought I did an okay job, but it's not, in the end, it's not for me to say if it is good or not. It's just to try to write from an honest point of view. And that shows, I try to show tenderness, caring, and love. And my old life, I couldn't tell you that at all, because it's just yeah, I couldn't let you in this, I couldn't let you in, let you inside. How did you want me to proceed? Anything, how we vote for Quadre? You want me to go into that, Daniel?
Yeah, I think you've spoken about your experience, and that was so touching. Seeing the photo, and extraordinarily moving. It just within the first few seconds, I just felt like I got transformed to a different place. And I think one thing you keep touching upon is just the honesty and the authenticness and the genuine nature that you approach your craft. And I think that's something that for all of us, it's so important for us to become more in touch with as we write. I think now, yeah, it would be a great time to maybe talk a little bit more about how this leads into the project you did for Quadre.
Well, that's thank you for setting me up like that. It's just now you put it right out over the plate for me. And that the honesty and openness and having this conversation, when I knew Nina through certain circles of the composer circle kind of thing. I knew who she was, and we said hello a few times. And then when Nina got a hold of me and told me about the project, it's like I have nothing in common with, how the heck do I even collaborate with someone? I have nothing in common with Nina, but as we both sat down after 6 hours worth of Zoom conversation, and Nina did this great job of editing, giving me these files. I found both of us being open and honest and vulnerable to completely open, honest, and vulnerable. We found, or I can't speak for Nina, I'll speak for myself. I found that we had everything in common. And for me, home, this a guy without a home at one point. Home for me is an honest relationship, and I found that we have more things in common than we do, in us being separate. And the way we work together is sifting through these Zoom conversations. It's like, how do I edit 6 hours of dialogue and whittle it down to 5 minutes? And there's 10 pieces into that conversation, I think, for me. And the way we worked is, after finding a theme, which wasn't hard to do, it just naturally led itself into this, not trying to create something to where what I think Daniel would want to hear, and how can I craft this in a way to where you will like me because it's a certain kind of thing. And my old band, I come from a band days kind of, metal kind. I'm a metal guy, right? Hard rock, metal, Image, the whole 9 yards. I did all that stuff, and you had to portray a certain thing. to get people to like you. And this was far from it. It is showing an honest dialogue with a new friend, and that's allowing yourself to be open with someone, and that allows you to receive the gifts back, right? And it's a scary proposition at first. It's like, why am I going to trust you? Well, now I have nothing to hide, or I can give myself freely to this situation, and then I can get all this good stuff back. And that takes, you got to be okay with yourself at a certain point and walk through the fears of trying to, well, I suck as a composer, or I'm a terrible pianist, or all the stuff that we have, my music sucks, all the stuff that we go through, right? Or I have nothing in common with this person, so I'm not going to acknowledge their existence, or I'm too shy, or all the stuff that we do. And that allowed me to have this great experience and write in a way to where I just wanted to write something, nothing complicated or out there for the horns, and let the edited dialogue, and that the tape part, as we call that, the electronics and tape, fit over that to have the words stand out. And for me, I found home in a new relationship, to where when you talk to somebody with an honest conversation, you can find out some of the stuff to where, hey, that's me too. Not in the exact same circumstances or exact same experiences, but chances are, if you listen hard enough, or just listen, for God's sakes, instead of thinking about ourselves, we can go, yeah, me too. Yes, me too. And that opens up, in my opinion, way different styles and genres and however you want to word that, of music. And you get to be open to a new experience in music, a new experience in looking at other people, and and everyone has their own cliques, and there's their own music stuff going on, but chances are we all have a lot more in common than we have being separate. And for me, that's what it's all about today, is finding the connection, and through an honest, to the best of my ability, to write, put an honest effort with honesty in it, and let others judge accordingly, because we're not going to please everybody. And today, who cares? And at least I'll be able to come back and, lay my head down at night, and knowing that I collaborated with someone, the music, as long as I collaborated with someone that is just an honest experience. That's the best I had, without rambling anymore.
Well, based on your conversations with Nina, perhaps maybe the best thing to do is to first look at some of the words that are in your work were inspired by that conversation. So I want all of you to take a look at the screen. I'm going to share those words right now. Okay. So these are some of the program notes for Ben's work, Stieglitz. I'm going to quickly go up, because I want you to see some of the words that happen. Oh, I think it's down, actually. This is some of the project text. So remember, they had a conversation via Zoom, and through that conversation, they recorded words that were said. And then these words became an integral part of the composition that they wrote. And then from here, I can go ahead and I can play your work, Ben, if you'd like me to do that. I will play like the first portion of it.
Oh, with the wonderful Dorico no performer sounds.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best we can do.
You kids, don't you dare judge me on this notation.
So something to keep in mind, and I think every single one of you is super aware of this is a brand new work. This has not been performed yet. We are just getting the music. It arrived in early April, and our quartet has not gotten together to rehearse this yet. So what you're going to hear is one of those simulations using Dorico. So I'm now going to stop the share and make it so that you can see the score and also play the audio at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to show up my entire desktop here.
Nina Shekhar, how do you respond to that?
The pronunciation of our name, such a big thing. You know, I say my name as Shekhar. Even though our identities are like very different in ways, I feel like there's like these interesting bridges, interesting bridges, interesting bridges, interesting bridges. I didn't know you were from Germany.
Born in Berlin, lived there till I was 6. That's about like That's about like
Even though our identities are like very different in ways, I feel like there's like these interesting bridges.
Nina, I think this maybe is a nice segue to your work because it's really a companion piece to what Ben's come up with. When we originally approached you, we wanted you to write a work for 10 minutes based on homeless youth. And then I think you came back and said, I'm not homeless and I'm not a youth. So how am I going to write this work? And I mean, for us, it was like, you know, that's an excellent point. I'm not sure we're coming from a very authentic place here. And so as the conversation continued over the course of the year, that's when this collaboration was struck with Ben, and each of you wrote a 5-minute movement, if you will, that work in tandem with one another. So with that said, I'll have you take it over.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. And thank you so much, Ben, for what you said. I totally feel the same way. And you know, this project was a big risk for me. I was very anxious when I was starting this project, to be honest, because I really, you know, so much of my work is rooted in themes of identity, and I really believe that all art is a reflection of identity. Anything I make is going to be reflecting of who I am. But beyond that, I think what's really important to me is what does my identity mean in relation to somebody else's identity? And it's not enough for me to just kind of sit in my own I don't know, my own like space of like, oh, this is who I am and that's it. Like, that's not enough for me. I really want to know what is the bridge between me and another person. And with this project, when Daniel had told me initially about this, and and Daniel's right, I was really worried at first. And I'm sharing this in full honesty, just so that like for all of you, whenever you're coming up with these new projects and working with these new ensembles or performers, and you know, sometimes you will have to think really hard and like, does this reflect who I am? How can I make it reflect who I am? And so that it's meaningful for everybody, including the organization. And so for me with this project, it took a long time to get to this conceptual stage. And so what we ended up deciding, Ben and I, was that we would both make 5-minute pieces from the full 10-minute commission that are companion pieces. And the way that these pieces are constructed is that the bulk of the electronics that are in the background are made from sampling the other person's music. So that's a really vulnerable thing to do. I don't know if maybe some of you, if you wanted to try it with your friends and here or elsewhere, like if you just like listen to the other person's music and try to make something just from their music. Like that is so, and we didn't even give each other any more direction in terms of like what to gravitate towards, how to use things. We really wanted it to be left up to the other person and see what they find value in, what they relate to. And even just from that experience, I feel like I learned so much about my own music. I learned so much about Ben's music. We really got to know each other as artists. But then also beyond that, yeah, as Ben mentioned, we had 6 hours of Zoom conversations, and we were just kind of talking about our experiences growing up, our experiences now, kind of what music means to us, what home means to us. For me, my experience of home is that I'm a first generation person, and for me, home is confusing because I'm not totally considered American. I'm Indian American. I'm not totally considered Indian. So then for me, home is related to that. And so relating that experience, which is very different from Ben's own experiences, and then also experiences of Ben struggling with addiction and me struggling with obsessive compulsive disorder. It was a real we found a lot of parallels, even though they're very different experiences. And so from this process of these long conversations, we really got to know each other very well on multiple levels, both artistically, even just making this work, and then also just as people, which I think, anytime we are working with an ensemble or anybody else, and anytime we're collaborating with somebody, in order for it to be a true collaboration, it's not just like, oh, I write this and I hand it off and then the next person plays it without like any dialogue. It should be like a conversation. It should be something with much more meaning.
And that's an excellent point you're making right there, Nina, that I really want to call out, that when we as composers are writing something for the ensembles that we do, it should be this dialogue back and forth. It should be this conversation back and forth. What Ben and Nina have done have taken it a whole step further as composers collaborating in that way. But every single one of you, when you've been writing music for your colleagues here at the pre-college, it's about that conversation. It's about that connection between the two of you. That's really going to make the work jump out and make it more genuine and more heartfelt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I figured I would share a little clip for mine. So I just want to check, Daniel, what time are the students presenting? I just want to make sure I don't impede on their time.
I muted myself right when you asked me the question. Yeah, we're fine. I think, I think show your work and then we'll go straight into Zach and Alex's work.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll show a short clip from my half of this project, which is called Recovery Swap. So as Ben mentioned, he's in recovery from addiction. I feel like I'm in recovery still from my OCD and me really trying to figure out how to I consider myself a neurodivergent person, and I really embrace that my brain works differently, but then I also had a lot of pain and a lot of suffering from obsessive compulsive disorder, and I really am still I feel like I'm going to be dealing with that my whole life. So my piece is kind of related to the bridge between our experiences with that. So I figured I would just show a short clip. So again, I just want to make sure that this is clear what our project was. So most of the tape material in this actually comes from Ben's music, which I kind of sampled in this crazy way. And then also the voice clips came from these little snippets from our Zoom interviews. So I'll just share like the beginning of my work.
Notice the many extended techniques that both of the composers used.
Can you hear the audio?
Yes.
Okay. I am.
Is
Who I am.
having an identity crisis.
Indian American. Feminine.
Here comes a homeless composer.
Yeah, give him a job.
I almost took it for granted.
Is having an identity
Who I
crisis. Nothing felt like home.
But it's me labeling it
I'm
that
just
way,
searching
right?
for something.
Feminine.
I'm not that in my
That's
entirety.
I mean, I'm also a lot of
Is
other
having an
things.
identity crisis.
I almost took it for granted.
Nothing felt like home.
Who I am.
I'm just searching for something.
But it's me labeling it
That
way,
felt
right?
like home.
Indian American.
Here comes a homeless composer.
Yeah, give him a job.
I mean, I'm also a lot of
Nothing felt like home.
I almost took it for granted.
I'm just searching. A white guy is having that identity
I
crisis.
mean, I'm also a lot of these other things. But it's me labeling it that way, right?
Nothing felt like home.
Who I am.
I'm not that in my entirety. A white guy is having that identity crisis.
I mean, I'm also a lot of these other things.
That felt
I mean, I'm
it's
also a lot of these
having
other
a
things.
Nothing felt like home. Just searching for something. That felt like white guy is having that identity crisis. Nothing felt like home. Not that in my entirety. It's having an identity crisis. Nothing felt like home. Just searching for something. White guy is having that identity crisis. Nothing felt like home. It's having an identity crisis. Just searching for something. White guy is having that identity crisis. Nothing felt like home. It's having an identity crisis. Just searching for something. White guy is having that identity crisis. Nothing felt like home. It's having an identity crisis. Just searching for something. White guy is having that identity crisis. Nothing felt like home. It's having an identity crisis.
I should have a fade out, but I don't have one. Sorry. But yeah, so this is just like the beginning part of the piece, obviously, but just this process of collaborating, I'm just going to echo what Ben said. For me, it was really scary for me to also talk about a lot of my experiences, and I found a really great friend in Ben, and somebody that I could share a lot of really honest things that I don't normally talk about publicly. And I really appreciated just having that time with him to invest, ourselves in this piece and take a chance on this piece, because it's really scary to put your trust in somebody else with this project. I really love this concept of sampling is actually a big part of stuff that I explore musically. And I had wanted to do a project like this for a while, with me sampling another person's music and them sampling mine, but I didn't know the right person for that project. And when I thought of Ben for this, and I was like, I think Ben's the right person, but I don't know if he, I hope that he trusts me enough. And once we built that trust, we made something that was really vulnerable. And I'm grateful to Quadre for facilitating this project too. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to share.
Thank you so much, Nina. I want to point out just a couple things for everybody. So for both of these works, the horn quartet, the acoustic ensemble, will be mic'd. And so there will be this kind of mixing, at least for Nina's work especially. Ben's work, we might be able to do it without the mics, but with Nina's work will be mic'd, so that a fifth musician will be kind of in charge of kind of making sure that we have the right balance. And this is really part of our whole conservatory family, because that fifth musician is Christopher Grant. I know some of you work with him in the TAC program, and he's absolutely fantastic, and we'll be collaborating with him as well in June. And then Ben has roots here at the conservatory. If you read his bio, you might have seen that, but Ben was one of our first esteemed graduates at the TAC, in the TAC program. And so learned a lot of these recent chops, I suppose, here. And also brought a lot of experience when he was part of that program. So very glad to see you back at your alma mater here to share. Nina, Ben, do you have any last thoughts you want to share? Ben, do you want to start us off?
Daniel, thank you for having us. Please remember, kids, if you find that you don't have anything in common with anyone, reach out to your neighbor, have a conversation. And who knows? Well, I can guarantee you that you'll have a lot in common. Thus starts the collaboration. That's starts the whole train of connection. So be free.
Awesome.
Yeah, and to echo what Ben was just saying, I think, anytime we work with anybody, music making is about relationships. It's not really about just making stuff in a vacuum. It's about building these really wonderful relationships with other people, and that makes the work better. So I think for us, as kids, it's really scary sometimes, when we're just trying to write and learn how to make music, but so much of learning involves learning about other people and learning from other people. So yeah, and I just want to also say thank you to Daniel for giving us this opportunity to be here and speak with all these wonderful students.
Well, thank you both so much for giving your time on this Saturday morning, or I think in both of your cases, Saturday afternoon, from where you're zooming from. And I just want to thank everyone in the San Francisco Conservatory Pre-College, my fellow faculty, and the students for taking the time to be here today. It's been absolutely wonderful. Guys, take care. Bye-bye.